Hello, 'tis I. So, Omnia's made some pretty bad takes. I remember Ponder Sprocket mentioning her making videos, like, repeating misinformation about Dreamalgia. 3 of them, actually. And I remember Nekokoda made a video on, Omnia where she made a very, shit take. The take was shit. The take was stinky. It was a bad take. But we're not talking about either of those things today. Today we're talking about another trash take that Omnia has made. So let's get into it. Basically, for context, Omnia made a video where part of it was her basically downplaying people's trauma. Fun. Also, I will be cutting out a lot of random parts of the video that don't really apply to what I'm talking about, or I don't really have anything to say about, so that might cut out a bit of context. So, to give you guys the actual context, the context of this video, what it is about, which, if you want to watch it, link in the description, it is basically talking about how people have started treating traumatic experiences like their drama. At least that's what I got from this video. Also, I do want to say, if this video, like, ends up being, like, choppy in certain areas, like, it looks like I cut something, like, I cut it, like, or something, that's because, there were a stupid amount of ads in this video. Omnia, get that bag, but, like, calm the fuck down. There were so many ads that I had to cut out of this video because I have to, like, screen record it and shit, because I'm not a billionaire, I don't have YouTube Premium. But anyway, without further ado, let's get on to the video.
Firstly, I think it's important to distinguish the differences between trauma and drama, which may seem obvious to most people, but is obviously something that certain commentary channels and individuals who spend a lot of time on the internet struggle with.
Ah yes, because we all know that trauma can never be drama, and drama can never be trauma. Because psychology is black and white, ain't it, folks?
So I thought it necessary to include a very quick formal explanation for those of you who need a reminder or would like to learn a little bit more about what typically counts as traumatic and what typically counts as dramatic.
Ooh, this line is gonna get really fucking disgusting later when you actually see what this person considers dramatic.
Without further ado, here's my very speedy language lesson. Hello everyone, I hope you're having a wonderful day today.
Seeing as you're about to downplay my and many other people's trauma, I'm not having a good day, and neither are the people in your comment section.
Hopefully that gives you a little bit of reprieve during this kind of rough video.
Oh, this video is rough, alright.
But today, in this clip, we're gonna go through the differences between drama and trauma. I know for most people that is a pretty obvious distinction.
It's funny because there isn't a clear distinction. Later in this video, you're gonna be like, oh, I've been an art commentator for 2 years. Then why the fuck don't you know that shit isn't black and white, especially psychology? I feel like somebody who talks about shit for a living and says that they like to make educated opinions should know that not everything is black and white. In fact, most things aren't black and white, especially psychology. And when you're talking about trauma, you should probably know that trauma is not a black and white thing, which in this video, you treat it as if it is. It isn't. And that's a huge part in this video that I don't like.
Most people know the differences between the two words. However, as a person who has been running a commentary channel for about 2 years now,
I actually have a medical degree in gatekeeping and downplaying trauma.
And someone who has a semi-active Twitter account, I can guarantee you that most people on the internet don't really know the main differences between the two. And so I thought it would be relevant to make a really quick video to go through the definitions and make a really quick distinction between the two, because it might help unblur that line for people who do struggle with figuring out the differences between trauma and drama.
The line is blurred for a reason. It's not black and white. You can't just take something and be like, oh yeah, this isn't traumatic for every single person. That's not how that works, that's not how our brains work, and that's not how psychology works. Yeah, I'm not a doctor, but I do know that psychology, or just medical shit in general, is never black and white. It depends on the person, it depends on the action, it depends on how many times the action is repeated, it depends on the person's personality, what they've gone through in the past, etc., etc. Please, stop acting like shit is black and white. If you've been a commentator for 2 years, you should know that most things aren't black and white.
When you search up trauma on Google, this is what comes up. A deeply distressing or disturbing experience. Emotional shock following a stressful event or a physical injury, which may be associated with physical shock and sometimes leads to long-term neurosis. Physical injury. When you search up drama on Google, this is what the definition is. A play for theater, radio, or television. An exciting, emotional, or unexpected series of events or set of circumstances. When you look at the second definition of drama, you can kind of see that there is a little bit of similarity, right?
You know, Omnia, I wonder why that is. It's almost like those two things can overlap.
It's a exciting, emotional, or unexpected series of events or sets of circumstances. And that's kind of similar to trauma, right? But I would say the main and easy litmus test between trauma and drama is severity.
Okay, so even if you are right here, how can you draw a line between what is severe and what isn't severe? You're just confusing your audience more.
Intensity. Always look at how severe or intense that event is.
Well, sure, getting cheated on and, witnessing somebody dying are gonna give you two different kinds of trauma. That doesn't fucking mean that one isn't trauma!
And there tends to be other symptoms of trauma more so than there is of drama. And that tends to show up somatically. So what I mean by that is that when something traumatic happens to someone, that tends to show up in their body or the way that they behave. So with someone who has experienced a traumatic event, they may get diagnosed with PTSD, they may need increased therapy or medication. Sometimes they have changes in behavior, like somatic changes, for example, weight loss or weight gain. Sometimes they have a lot of nightmares or hallucinations, they can have insomnia, stuff like that. That is often a sign of trauma.
Yeah, because the whole thing with trauma is that, you're gonna have shit happen after the fact. You're gonna have symptoms after the fact. No shit, obviously. This is correct. I agree with this. But, she also, later in this video, I can't remember when, says that, drama can also give you somatic symptoms. So it's almost like drama and trauma can overlap. Whoa! Psychology isn't black and white? Wow, it's almost like our brains are extremely complex things.
Whereas with drama, there tends to be a lot less physical symptoms, though there can be.
Because it's almost like those two things can overlap, meaning that if drama becomes a really big issue, it can cause trauma. Wow. It's not like I've said this multiple times and I don't want to keep saying it anymore, but I should, because it just proves how much Omnia very obviously shows that these two things aren't black and white, yet treats them as they are.
Right? There's just tends to be less intensity, less severity.
You can't quantify something like trauma. This isn't like rounding numbers. 4 or less, let it rest. That's not how this works.
And that's why I say when you want to distinguish between trauma and drama, the easiest way is to run a litmus test about how severe it is.
You can't quantify severity. I've already said this. You cannot quantify severity. Literally, the only way you can know for sure if you have trauma or not is to go to a therapist or a psychologist. And if any therapist or psychologist saw this part of your video, they would laugh. They would laugh so fucking hard. And I know it because even me, as somebody who doesn't know a lot about psychology, knows that psychology isn't black and white, yet you're treating it like a black and white thing.
So with trauma, it tends to be abuse, threats of violence, death, things like that. Whereas with drama, those tend to be pretty lukewarm experiences that a lot of people go through. For example, having a falling out with a friend, or getting a bad grade, or arguing with your parents, or getting offended over something that someone said online.
This is where the video gets gross. I'm sorry that you're privileged enough to have never gone through a traumatic friend experience, or a traumatic experience where you and a friend fell out. I'm sorry, but that does not give you the fucking excuse to say this shit in any way, shape, or form. There's a reason why the people in your comments are getting all pissed about this. I know from experience how traumatic friend falling outs can be, even if they don't include violence or abuse. And the fact that you have the fucking audacity to say genuinely that cheating is not traumatic is fucking gross. What the fuck went through your head to say this? Why did you think about that? Record it, put it in your video, and then post it. What made you think that that was fucking okay and that you were fucking right? What the fuck went through your head? What went through your head? Literally. What went through your head to think that that was okay in any fucking capacity? And fun fact, parents are basically fucking known for gaslighting their children during arguments. So yes, having an argument with your parents can definitely be fucking traumatic. And yeah, backstabbing can cause fucking trauma. These are such vague fucking things. Like, other than cheating, all of the shit that you said was so fucking vague that it could very well be traumatic. Being backstabbed can be fucking traumatic. What is wrong with you? I'm sorry that you've never had an experience where you've been backstabbed by a friend, and that you're privileged enough to have never been backstabbed by a friend in a way that was traumatic, but that doesn't fucking mean that you get to go out here on your big platform and talk about how untraumatic it is, and implying that anyone who thinks it's trauma are wrong. That's not fucking okay in any way, shape, or form. And yeah, I'm getting heated because this is a person who is much older than me with a large platform. They should not be saying this disgusting shit on their large platform. If this was a kid, somebody who was like my age or younger, I would understand. But this is somebody with a huge platform who is older than me. They should fucking know better. And this is a person who is not new to commentary in any capacity. So how the fuck is this person going to go out here and say that something's black and white when it very fucking clearly isn't? Especially something as complex as psychology.
That typically is drama. If you don't think it is something that someone could get PTSD over, that doesn't tend to be something that can fall into trauma.
If your trauma isn't something that can cause PTSD, it's not trauma. What the fuck? What? Where's your source? Where's your medical degree? What the fuck?
Most of the time, the way that I distinguish the two,
however you distinguish the two, please stop.
Is it something that happens on any odd given day?
Yes, let's just ignore the statistic that says that 1 out of every 6 American women have been the victim of an attempted or completed rape in their lifetime. Or that nearly 1 in 5 children are physically abused in the foster care system.
Right? Does a loved one die any odd given day? Does someone get harassed and stalked and abused on any odd given day? Does someone fear for their life on any odd given day?
Women, gay people, black people, trans people, the list goes on. Also, let's just ignore people who, grow up in abusive households and think that, the abuse they're going through every single fucking day is normal. Let's just fucking ignore that, and let's encourage them to not speak up about their trauma because they think it's normal.
No. that would justifiably go into the trauma bucket, whereas with drama, it tends to be something that can happen on any odd given day.
By your own screenshot that you showed at the beginning of this clip, you literally said that it was a unexpected experience, which means that it's not something that happens every day.
If you have a falling out with a friend group, have an argument with your parents, have any other little thing that happens and it's just sort of an inconvenience.
Yes, because having someone you love backstab you or being cheated on by your loved one is totally an inconvenience, right guys?
You can still have a negative reaction to it. Sometimes you can even have somatic symptoms of drama.
Then how the fuck does that separate drama from trauma? Also, if it's just a little inconvenience, how the fuck would you get traumatic symptoms from it? Like, what the fuck?
But that doesn't tend to last as long or be as life-changing as someone who went through a traumatic event.
Cheating is life-changing in many cases. Being backstabbed by somebody you love can be traumatic. People spreading rumors about you can be traumatic depending on what the rumors are. Again, this is not a black and white situation. You need to stop treating it as such, and you treating it as such is immature. Stop it.
That's mainly the two difference. It's that easy.
Wow, thank you, Omnia, for teaching me how simple psychology is. I basically have a degree in psychology right now. Thanks.
If you want to make it very clear, look at severity, look at intensity, look at somatic symptoms.
All three of those things you have shown is not quantifiable. So why the fuck are you trying to say that you can easily tell what is and isn't trauma based on these factors, which is very obviously different from person to person? And not only is it, but people, especially people with trauma who are in denial, have a habit to second guess and gaslight themselves, and you are just making that easier for them. Thanks!
Hopefully that helped.
No, this video did not help. It in fact did the opposite of help. In conclusion, Omnia, you aren't a doctor. Stop trying to dictate what is and isn't trauma. That's something only a doctor can do. That's something only a psychologist or a therapist can do. My advice would be to delete this video and not talk about psychology again. Just don't. Don't talk about psychology again. And if you are, do extensive fucking research, because you did absolutely none other than some Google searches. Because, if you did do research, then you would not be saying this shit. Psychology is not black and white. In fact, the majority of things are not black and white. And the fact that you're treating something as important and as complex as psychology black and white is so stupid and is actually harmful. And you are perpetuating the stigma of people who are traumatized by shit that some people might consider not traumatic. You're perpetuating that stigma that those people are weak, and that's not fucking okay. It's not. You should be mature enough to know that this shit is not okay to perpetuate, yet you're perpetuating them in this video, and that's not okay. Please, Omnia, do better. Okay, I hope you guys had a great day. I hope Omnia learned something from this. I hope everyone learned something from this to not gatekeep trauma. Hope you have a great day. Goodbye.